the thing. Hi, and we're live. This is Melinda from Hope When There Was None. This is what happens when you don't have coffee in the morning.
Aw.
So I'm joined with Kayla, and she's going to share her amazing story. Also, just the inspiration that you gave me. I was reflecting on that and your story and how inspirational it is.
Thank
And
you.
I can't wait for you to share it with everybody else because I know many, especially women, have issues with this. And I'm
Yeah.
going to let you dive into that, into your story, if you'd be so kind.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And hi, everyone. So, a little background about me. So I'm just gonna go a brief background, and then I'll just get your questions rolling, and then I can answer. Yeah. So, a little bit about me. I currently work. I have different businesses right now. So, I'm mostly the tech industry. So, I have a tech business where we develop more for corporate apps and software, custom softwares. And I also work primarily with females, helping them to regain confidence and launch profitable businesses online. And this is something that is so passionate to me because I came from a space where I was where people always thought nothing good would come out of me, and and so and to be honest, and when I was years back, I didn't even know I was going to be this. I didn't even know how much I was going to grow, and so I always thought I always wanted to be that awesome wife, that awesome mom. That was my lifetime goal, and it still is, by the way. Like I would anytime with the drop of my hat give up everything else that I do just for the family. Like honestly, I would. So for me, that was the lifetime goal, just being a wife and just being the mom that I always wanted to have and be as well. So that was all there was to it. So and then it was just growth, and I guess I'm just blessed because my husband always wanted more. Like he was like, you can do this, go do this, go go try that. And I was like, really? Like it's so weird, especially because coming from an Indian Asian background, and I have to say that I've seen so many men who don't have that mindset where they want the women more powerful than them. you know they always think women belong to the kitchen. Women,
Mm-hmm.
like they are meant to stay at home, look after the kids, and be the good wife and all that. And I was like, yeah, I'm telling you, I'll do all of that, but no, you wanted me to go out there and do so many other things. So that was a bit like, okay, that's kind of cute. And I remember years back when I didn't drive, and he was like, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you not drive? Like, to him, in his mind, it's like, I need to be that woman who's so independent and drive and do things and achieve things and inspire and impact. But you see, for me, I never really had those burning desires. And I guess that came from the fact that I always brought up saying, where people said to me that, be simple, don't be greedy, don't want more than what you can buy. And,
Mm.
all that money's for all the rich people, it's not for you. Go steady. Do you know what I mean? It's like so limited mindset. So I never really dreamed big at all. Like I always thought like, life is simple. I needed a job which I never liked working for someone. So then that became a stigma to me where she's always job hopping and she doesn't stick to her job. She doesn't know the importance of money, all these kind of things that came up. So I guess it was a nice mindset change for me the minute I got married, and marrying this guy who totally kind of changed the perception of how life could be.
Right.
And then so yeah, that was a journey, and the rest is just history. So now I kind of passionately work on impacting and inspiring women because again, behind that mission is actually a bigger mission, is actually impacting the next generation. Like I am a huge fan of that because children, they watch us. We as parents lead by example, right?
Right.
It's not what we say to them, it's not what we shout at them, it's not what we tell them to do. They don't care. You lead by example, and believe it or not, they are watching every single step of yours. And
Yes.
my daughter, she's 18 today. I mean, up to what she's done, she has run street fair, she's got a hands on entrepreneurship, she's a crypto investor, she's a YouTuber. Like she gets her hands dirty on anything. She's just following what her parents are doing, and so I think it's a responsibility of parents to lead by example. And I'll share this before you ask me any questions. So I read this recently by Elon Musk, and he said this about parenting. He said, we gave birth to the children, right? It's not the children didn't choose us. The children didn't want to be born. We gave birth to them. So the children owe us nothing. We owe them everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps when I saw that tweet, and that made me actually again go back into reflection mode and reinforce what I truly believe in, because people think, again, I don't know whether this is the same in other cultures, but in Indian culture, we always have parents saying, you got to look after us when we're older. You got to do this. When you start earning, you got to give me that money. They
Wow.
always, oh yeah. Like when I worked, like just my teenage jobs, my mom would have access to my bank account and she would take every single dollar that was in there. Everything.
Oh,
And I would be given like a couple of dollars just to last for the week to go eat and that kind of stuff. But when I mean couple of dollars, less than a tenner. That's what I mean. And
right.
and so that was that. And so I was never driven by money because I think that whatever I earned was never mine anyway. So I started to hate it indirectly. I started like, why do I even need that? And so all this kind of thoughts. But so what he tweeted that, I felt like, wow, that's so powerful, because I think a lot of parents expect the children to look after them in old age. They think it's a responsibility. But what they don't realize is living in today's lifestyle is difficult as it is. We know it, right? So
Okay.
I think it's such a burden to put on children to say, you got to look after me. It's a great thing if they do because you've brought them up right. I'm not saying they don't have to. You know what I mean? But it's
Right.
like, it's not an expectation. And I think expectation is what kills a lot of relationships. When people say, what is the number one reason people divorce? People's infidelity and all that kind of stuff, but actually, no, I think it's expectations.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I think. Expectation kills a lot of relationships, as parents from children, husband to wife, and vice versa, anything. Is because we expect something. What if we could just change it and just do and take ownership of our decisions? We decided to bring them in. Take ownership of that. Lead them, show them how beautiful the world can be, rather than pushing them to a space where you got to earn this much, you got to survive, you got to fight in this world, and then when I grow old, you got to look after me. Like, goodness, I can't imagine telling that to my daughter. Like, it's such a burden, financially, emotionally, and everything. So yeah, that's me and my passions in a nutshell.
And now you had those limiting beliefs imposed by you by family, and if we
Yeah,
can dive into that, and you just shared with me some what I call it's just over the top,
thank you.
with how you were treated,
Yeah,
and you weren't, and this is coming from your mom, which I think that's even, it's all bad. It's all bad,
yeah,
no matter who does it to you. But it's almost like really a wound to the heart, because this is your mom that's
yeah,
doing these things to you. And,
yeah.
whether it's being beaten you or, taking your money, controlling that money from you. Tell me, how did you cope with that? What made it in your mind that, because you have a beautiful daughter, and
Thank you.
what made you change your mind to break that cycle?
Yeah. Okay. So I think growing up for me, one thing I have to say is that I had a very bad growing up experience with my parents generally. So my mom is a person who she's very competitive. So she always wants her kids to be better than her sisters or her brother siblings. And I, being the oldest granddaughter, there was a lot of expectations on me. You see, again, we come back to expectations.
Mm.
People like they want us to do this and achieve that. So my mom always wanted to be one of those professionals, a doctor, a lawyer. So she put me in a law school. She put me as a teacher. She made me learn computer science, like all the top industries, which she thinks will give us good income. But I was just not cut out for it. And from a very young age, like when I was 3 years or 4 years or 5 years old, I always used to get beaten up with a cane. When I used to get stripes, like literally all over my body, and I would go to school like that because I couldn't either maybe do my maths homework. It was so basic. It's when you think about it right now, it's so funny. It's so dumb. Like, why would you beat a child up? But for me, I think as I was growing up, I started to think that, anybody who does that, against someone else, or maybe even an animal, and then seeing them yelp or seeing them cry, I cannot understand how somebody could do that. You don't have to be a mom, you don't have to be a dad, you don't have to be anything, you just have to be a human being. So
Mm.
for me, I always say this to people, you just have to be a world-class human being. Forget about any other responsibilities. As a person, it takes a lot for someone to actually hurt, where we see cyberbullying today. Like, how do you actually do that and then see
Yeah.
someone else cry? It's awful. And worse, some people commit suicide. Some people have through mental illness. Like, why would anyone do that? So this topic is actually very close to my heart. Don't be unkind. Like, it's awful just as a person, right? So growing up, I think for me, what saved me was that I had grandparents who were a gem. Like honestly, I think my focus, my energy was more drawn towards that rather than focusing on my mom. So during the week when I stayed with her, I would get hurt. I would be crying. I would not have any like family time, no one to talk to, because they wouldn't really talk to me. They wouldn't bring me out. Like, I don't remember a day, and I honestly mean that. I don't remember a day my mom has brought me to the playground as a child.
Oh.
So that's an awful memory to have. And so, but I remember so many good things from my grandparents and some of my aunts, where it's family, it's togetherness, it's fun and love, and I could do anything, and I always get treated well because I'm the eldest granddaughter. So I was spoiled that way by my grandparents, and some of my aunts. And I think, like I said, what really saved me growing up was that my energy was drawn towards it. So really what my message is, I get it. Like, we may not have the best of everything. Some people may not even have the positive side of whatever is going on in their life right now. But I truly believe if we look hard enough, there's always something to be happy about. And then focus your energy on that rather than all the hate and the baggage and tears and everything. Because as long as we keep focusing on that, I think we grow up to become that.
Mm.
People in your mind, they always say, do you know what? I've heard these people say this to me where they say, Kala, I don't want to be like my mom, or I don't want to be like my dad. But the irony is they end up being like the person exactly they said they don't want to be.
Mm.
And the reason for that is because that's where the energy and the focus is. So how I became different and how I broke the cycle is subconsciously. When I was younger, my energy was drawn the other way rather than on the hate. I truly hated my mom growing up, but today I have cordial conversations with her every week. We could be on the phone and just talk about, did you take your vaccine today? Do you know what I mean? It's so normal. I don't hate her anymore.
Mm.
I don't forget what's happened because those are always things that's going to be with us. But sure enough, I've forgiven and it's moved on. And the fact that I can share this story today with no tears in my eyes to me, that's a big achievement because I could not do that years back. So I think people need to focus on where their attention is and where their energy is. It helps. It truly helps, at least in the long term. So yeah.
That's very big. That is very big to where you get to that point where being able
Yeah.
to tell that story without crying, but also to find that forgiveness. I
Yeah.
know many people out there that are going to watch this probably in the replay have those issues where they are still stuck and locked in that place of unforgiveness.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you just said that, okay, I've got to forgive her? What was that for you? What was it? Something that just happened gradually? You can explain that a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
think it happened definitely gradually because I got married at 22. So again, when I shifted out, I moved away from the toxicity.
Mm.
I was having a family of my own, which I've always wanted. And again, look, people are waiting for a forgiveness that's never coming.
Mm.
Till today, my mom has never said a sorry to me. And it doesn't bother me. It's okay. I don't expect it either. I'm like, that's fine. We can still talk. It's fine. And I don't expect you to ever say sorry to me. But I remember once years back when my daughter was just maybe 3, 4 years old. I don't know. She did something and I got so mad. It was just so small. And I got so mad and I spanked her. And that was the first and the last time ever I've ever done
Mm.
that. She cried and I was like, what did I just do? I think she just caught me at the wrong time. And that was so awful. I said the sorry to her and I've never had to do it again. Because I felt horrible after that. Because that face, that little face that looks up to you, and she's got that face where she kind of pouts her mouth and her tears would just drip with no sound. My daughter actually
Oh.
cries with no sound. And so that really got my heart broken, and I couldn't sleep. And yeah, so I had to say that sorry, which was a natural thing to me. And I've never had to do that again. So I think it is so important. Oh, you're making me cry now.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
But but yeah, so I think it's so important to say that sorry, because a lot of people don't. And also stop waiting for that sorry. That may never come. Because at the end of the day, you are hurting yourself just waiting. The other person's life is going on. They're happy. They're living their life. They've got, maybe if it's your mom or dad, they're having the other kids. As somebody once said this to me, if your mom and dad has got 6 kids, you're one of those 6 kids. But to you, it's just that one mom. And you see, so that's why I think the pain inflicted, especially on children, is so big, because we have just got that one mom, right? But to that mom, she's got so many other kids. You're just one of them. And that's how, I don't know, I kind of felt that way when I was a lot more younger. And I was like, that's okay, because my mom is very close to my brother. And that's fine as well. Like, I've got people who love me, and so I just focus on that. It was a gradual thing. And I think getting married was probably, people used to say to me when I was younger, I make horrible decisions. Today, I will proudly stand and say I make the best decisions ever. Like, from the guy I dated to the guy I married to having a decision to have a kid at 23 when I had literally no income, didn't know what I was doing, and even the decision which I made 9 years ago from Singapore to UK to make that move, everybody was like, are you dumb? Like, seriously? You asked your husband, who is a sole breadwinner, to quit his job. In fact, I didn't ask him. He wanted that change too. And that's when that transition just happened. And so they were like, how can you move with your 9-year-old where there's nobody there? And to make matters worse for them, I actually flew my dog over as well. So I spent a good amount of money flying my dog over. And so people were like, are you crazy? But come on, my dog, I adopted him when he was 3 years old. And he was almost dying. He was flea and tick infected. When we brought him to the vet, he was covered in flea and ticks and was having he was just ill. And when we brought him back home, my whole balcony used to have the ticks. Like, it was covered. We had to call the fumigators. I spent a lot of money treating that boy. Today he's 15-ish. Exactly.
That's
And I
awesome.
think, I know, I'm so proud of it, and I share it all the time, because I think it's so beautiful to save a life and give them all you've got. So when I brought him over 9 years ago, people were like, are you spending a couple of thousand flying him? Yes, I am. I'm not going to leave my daughter behind, so why would I leave this boy behind? So it's like, people don't get it. People thought I was just being crazy, because it sounds crazy, like you doing everything and moving the whole family to some place where you don't even know what's going to happen next. But I believe in taking ownership for my decisions. And like I said, I'm so glad I've got a husband who's like, he's all in for the fun. He's like, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? We're still all together. So we go crazy sometimes, and it's just fun. And we do crazy things to many people. In many people's eyes, they're like, this family is crazy, but I love it. Like, nobody would. And I think that's the reason why I think I'm so successful. And I don't mean that financially, just financially. I mean it all areas holistically, because I take risk. Like, I just do what my heart calls for, and I just go do it. I don't care. Like, what's the worst thing that could ever happen? As long as your family is with you, if something calls for it and we make calculated decisions, we just take and we just go. And so life has just been a momentum, Melinda. It's just been that. And over the years, if anything at all, it's just filled my heart with more love than hate. And that was the reason why I came out of it. So people might think it's so effortless, but it was a conscious work on myself, especially when I had my daughter. and when I got married, because the relationship between my mom and my dad is not fantastic either. It's not the relationship that I want to model. So my mom is the alpha, you know, and she controls the money purse, she controls every single thing in the house. So my dad is okay with that, and that's fine. Maybe that's why they are still together, and that's okay. But I know my husband is not going to tolerate that, and that is when I learned the beauty of the masculine and the feminine energy in a woman. You know, how you run a business, the tone, the discipline and everything, you can't take that home to your husband. He will always say that, leave that at the doorstep. Like, to me, you're that woman, you know, you're the wife. Like, you know, and so the feminine energy comes out, you know, where you be cute, you just be girly, and you just do all the things that people outside don't see. And so it's so important to have that in a woman, where you know that you are so strong, you're a leader, you can make decisions. But when you come back home, it's so nice to be protected, to be looked after, to be loved, and it's just a different feeling. Do you know what I mean?
I
So it's
know.
like people need to understand that. So for me, it was a learning thing, and I just get better over time. Yeah.
Oh, I love your light about that. And thank you for being so open and candid about that healing experience. Because I agree, a lot of people look and they're like, well, you just make it so easy. But you don't know how many times I stepped away from doing mirror work, or how many times I yelled at the
Exactly.
mirror, or, didn't want to
Exactly.
journal and do all those things. And, but gritted my teeth in doing it, or stepped away for months until I could.
Yeah.
And I even wrote this down when we were initially talking there. There was a quote that you had said that about people are hungry but not starving enough to make that happen for healing. And,
Yes.
that was very profound for me, because I know that I have several people in my life that are still, that I met along the road going 10 years or more. And they're still in that victimhood. They're still in that victim mindset, and they haven't made big strides. They've had maybe bad relationships. And
Yeah.
that really set, what you said really set with me. It really did, that they're not hungry enough. They're not
Yeah.
starving enough. Wow. Wow. And you
Thank you.
got to that point where you needed to, where you
Yeah.
felt that way?
Yeah. There was no way I was gonna become my mom. Like,
Okay.
that was like a non-negotiable to me. Like,
Mm,
there was absolutely no way. If I wanted happiness, it starts from me. You know, it's
mm,
not about changing my husband to become someone I wanted him to. You know, a lot of people say my relationship didn't work. You know, my boyfriend or my partner or husband didn't do X, Y, Z. And I'm like,
mm.
stop. Like, it's not his duty to do X, Y, Z. Like, let's not even have that conversation. Let's talk about you and what you do, you know, and then we can talk about whether you want to be in this relationship or not. It's not about the other partner at all. We don't have control over another person's decisions, right? What we
Right.
have control is what we choose to do with our lives. People don't get it. You know, they focus so much time and energy. And I know so many moms who say to me, you know what, Kala, all my life is given to my kids. Like, I spend so much time on my kids and X, Y, Z. Let me tell you, my daughter, she's got the most freedom ever. And she's a kid who's got all the freedom, and yet she's always at home with us. Like, literally, she doesn't hang out. She's 18. She doesn't stay out late at night. She doesn't go out that much. She's like, she just enjoys it. When you ask her, she will tell you it's because I just love that space. I just love my own space. You know, she doesn't feel the need to go out and find attention or find that void, if that makes sense. She just
It
loves
does.
just being in the house and just being with us, and yeah, you know. And I think that's what it is. People always say, I want an abundant life, but it's financially. I get that a lot, especially with what I do. Carla, how did you make your money? I want to make the money. Okay, this is what you have to do. Now, do they do it? No. You know, and be honest, Melinda, we are doing this video right now, and people watch it, they're going to say, this is so inspiring. Like, I need to have that holistic lifestyle. How many people actually make it happen? You know,
Mm,
and that is why I
yeah.
truly believe inspiration is not like from the outside. You know, when people watch this video or they attend events or they watch YouTube videos which are inspirational and motivational, they get so hyped up that minute, but then what's next? That's
Mm,
what my message is for all anyone who's going to watch this later. Like, what's next? You know, that's what I'm interested about. Forget about my story and how that's inspired you, because that doesn't mean anything, right? What are you doing with what you've learned from someone? Now, that is the key to how your life is going to change. People love listening to all of this, and that's what I mean. They're hungry. They want all this success and they want that happiness, brother. But then they're not starving enough to go grab it. It's there. The question is, are you going to grab it or not? And that saddens me so much, because I see so many people like I just don't understand it. Like, why would you want to live a life filled with so much sadness and baggage when actually you don't have to? Nobody is telling you to do it. It's you. Let's say my mom in this context, she's not said to me, you need to carry this baggage with you. No, today she's got no control over what I do whatsoever. Whatever she says cannot affect or influence the way I make my decisions today. I can listen to her, I can just let her be, but it's not going to affect what I'm going to do next. So I think people need to want it bad enough, want that happiness. And a lot of people chase the wrong things. I have to add this. They chase the money, they chase the fame, they chase everything else but happiness. And I can tell you, having achieved a lot of different things in my life, the only thing I was chasing was happiness. I only wanted to be happy. That's all there was to it. I only, like you see, when I brought my dog down, it was just me. The money didn't matter, nothing else mattered. It was just me wanting to do something that made me happy, that I knew that it's going to make me so sad if I was going to leave him behind. And I think it's, again, leading by example. I don't want my daughter growing up thinking it's okay to abandon things that you've brought up. Every single thing, people overlook the smallest of everything that we do in our daily lives. I'll give you guys a good example. Like years back, this happened. And, being in business, especially in early years of business, I was so caught up with the hustle culture, where you're hustling and you got so many things to do. And there was once I said to my daughter, let's go for a movie. That was a couple of days before the actual event actually happened. I said, let's go to a movie this Wednesday, for example. And when that Wednesday came, I was so busy. And she came back from school and I said to her, can we change this to another day? I can't do today. And you know what she said to me, Melinda? She said, that's all right, Mom, but next time, let's do it like impromptu. Don't tell me we're going to do something and not do it, because I'm feeling so sad now.
Wow.
And you know what she said? She said, I'm so sad because I came back from school all excited that she was going to go to the movies. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, what did I just do? And do you know, ever since that day, I've never canceled on anyone ever. Ever. And it's just stuck in my mind.
Wow.
And that is the reason why, even how I show up for meetings, for anything, if I say I'm going to attend a meeting, I'm going to attend a meeting. And this is something people need to hear. When you set meetings with someone, it reflects upon you if you cancel the meetings, or you show up late, or you just cancel on them last minute because you take another person's time for granted. Imagine you were going to sign $1 million deal right now. Would you cancel? No, you wouldn't. You're going to show up. No matter how you're feeling, you are going to show up. So what I hear is that I'm not important. I'm not your priority. So it's okay to cancel on me. Wow. Now, that is a message people don't really think about. How you treat other people is a silent. Even in the silence, there's a lot of messages. There's this saying that says, no response is a response. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Right. So even people when they cancel on you, or they just bail you out, or they turn up late, that is a message in itself. Because if you are important, they will never do that to you. They would never, and that was a lesson taught to me by my daughter.
Wow. Wise words.
Exactly.
Wise
and this
words.
is how we have actually brought her up, to actually say what she feels and voice it out. Because if she doesn't say, you're never going to get what you want.
Mm.
So this was a message that I think it's so worth sharing, because I learned it the hard way. Like, I made her sad that day. In fact, what happened is, at the whole day, I wrapped up all the work and we went for a midnight movie after. I just surprised her, I booked the tickets, and I brought her to the midnight movie because I felt so horrible doing it to her. But then moving forward, I've never done it. If I have said I'm going to bring her somewhere or we're going to do something, everything else becomes secondary. No matter what I'm doing, like, doesn't matter. I could be even losing a client, but if I have said I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And that is something I've stuck to for years right now. And it's a habit. It's become a habit. And this is actually spread across anybody I work with, whether it's clients, whether it's anyone, just anyone. Doesn't matter, rich, doesn't matter, just doesn't matter. Everybody is the same. And it's how you treat people generally. So, yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I do. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Well, let me ask you one final question
Sure.
before I let you go. If somebody out there is watching and they're afraid to and you've given a great juicy golden nuggets here. If they're afraid to actually take a leap, is there one bit of advice above everything else just to get somebody to start? What would you tell them?
Do you know, that is most often the most difficult thing, is to get started. And then it comes back to the entire thing of what I said: you're hungry, but you're not starving. Be solution focused. It's about how badly you want something, and then how you're going to get there is the next thing. Reach out to people who you can ask questions. And when I say ask questions, ask smart questions. Everybody's time is so valuable. If you ask a lame question, like, how did you get there? Like, look, that's going to take me years to tell you how I get there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
ask such specific questions which you can instantly implement with that answer you're going to get. And that's what I mean by smart questions. And then start, like, having a community of people who are supporting your goals. Like, okay, you want to overcome a relationship, or you want to let go of a baggage. Constantly work. It's consistency, love. It's everything is consistency. There was just this voice that was in my head battling when I was growing up. Like, I could hear my mom's voice, especially when I got married. Like, there's a lot of things that I've done that I'm not proud of. Like, I could blow up tantrums like that in my early stages of marriage, that I guess my husband would have been shocked. Like, seriously, did I just marry that woman? It's like, when you actually think about it, it's so horrible. Like, I used to have those phases of me becoming my mom in my early stages of marriage.
Oh.
But do you know what really saved me was that my husband, I think he just knew that I'm not that person. And I
Mm.
think he was just being patient with me. And I was constantly working on myself. Like, whenever I hear that mind voice, I'm always battling with, like, I can do better. I want that happiness. I love him so much. There's no way I'm going to be the reason why this didn't work. There's absolutely no way. So for me, it was always me and not him. All of us have imperfections. So it's not my job to solve his imperfection. Because if he wants me bad enough, he's going to work on his imperfection. Does that make
Woo!
sense, right? Right?
Yes,
Because
right.
we are that way by nature. When we want something, we grab it. We are that people by human nature. We are fighters with survival. So, and men's instinct, if they really want that goal, they're going to do whatever it takes to get the goal, right? So, and then when women's head, they're like, I need to change my man. No, you don't have to, because if he's not doing X, Y, Z, it just means that he's not doing it for you, period. We got to understand that. Instead of fighting the law of nature and trying to change people and stop, like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make
Yes.
sense. So it's like, I think we need to work on ourselves, have that consistent self-talk, where you focus your energy on. Reach out to people who you can talk with, work with, and I promise you, in the long term, if you keep going consistently, it's gonna change. It definitely will. That's science. There's no way there's any other route for you. You just have to keep going consistently and believe that you deserve that happiness. It all starts from believing that you deserve it, because I can promise you, there's so many people out there now, Melinda, thinking that they don't deserve happiness. I don't
Mhm.
understand why. They actually do. It's
Yes.
not about anything else. It's about whether you believe it or not, and then just go get it.
And I love we have Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us. She has a few comments here for you there, and thank you. And don't take negative messages from the naysayers.
Thank you,
Definitely,
Michelle. Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely, because that's all that is to it. They're just haters. They're just people who do
Oops.
nothing for you. So just, you know what I mean? It's just don't take it. Just focus on your own self inner talk, especially if you're in that space of like sadness and baggage and pain. You don't focus on anyone else but yourself. That's all you
Right.
have to do. And once you get better in becoming more self-aware, then you go out and put yourself out there, because if you are empty, there's nothing for you to give,
Mm,
right? You need to fill
right.
yourself so much with love and fill up that cup before you can start loving your spouse or loving your partner or loving your kids. You can't love them. People say, I love my kids too much. No, you don't, because you hate yourself. When
Mm,
you don't love yourself, you've got nothing to give. They don't get it. You can't give with
mm,
nothing to give. They think they're
exactly.
giving, but actually they are hurting the other people around them. So something to think about.
Yes. Wow. Dang, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you. And if anybody is looking to find you, I've been sharing some links there in the comments. Oh, Miss Michelle, just on the other side of letting go and learning and learn me.
Absolutely,
Ooh,
absolutely. Love that.
yes.
Exactly. The more we learn about ourselves, I'm telling you, we become our biggest fan. Like I've got this habit of looking at the mirror and I think like, oh my God, like just it's like, oh my God, like it's so gorgeous. Like seriously. And sometimes people think you're crazy, but no, the more you discover yourself, you'll be like, oh, my story is just phenomenal. And it's all about falling in love with yourself so that you never
Yes.
feel alone, because you can never leave you, right? You're
Right.
never alone. When people say, I feel lonely, how can you feel lonely? Like, I could be days in my bed, in my room, and be perfectly okay with it. Like, absolutely okay
Me
with
too.
it, right? You're like, I'm good. Like, I've got me. I just need my laptop, I need my books, and I'm all good. You never need another person to make you happy. No, it doesn't work that way. So, yeah, but yeah, go, Michelle. Go get what's yours, really.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Oh, well, thanks again for being on. I do
Thank you for
appreciate
having me.
that. Yes. And by all means, if anybody would like to reach out to her, I do have those links in the comments. You can find them
Thank you.
there. And, just she is an amazing, you are just an amazing woman. You are.
And
You're
so are you.
amazing.
So are you. We're also amazing in our own ways. And I think people need to realize that more. And people need to be brave enough to come and share your story, because there's no other story like our own. Right.
Yes.
And I think, and that's what I love for people to do, share their story and spread some goodness into the world, because there's always something to learn from someone. Doesn't matter who.
Yes.
We don't just need to look up to those top people or the influencers and think we have something to learn from them only.
Mhm.
We can learn from anybody. Like I've learned a lot from taking Uber whenever I'm in London. Like I've learned a lot from talking to my Uber drivers. Like I love it. Like, I just love listening to their stories. It doesn't matter what mindset, but I just love it, because everybody's got a story and everybody has got their thoughts on a specific topic or something, right? So I love
Right.
it. And I think people need to share their story more. So yeah, thanks for having me, Melinda. It was a
Oh, you're
blast, really.
welcome. And Miss Michelle says she loves it. Your story and others need to hear it. Yes.
And share your story too, Michelle, in the comments, because everybody needs to hear that too, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me. I do appreciate that. And if anybody would like to contact you, your links are found in the comments, or maybe it's about business related. If you're a woman entrepreneur or you want to make a dive into entrepreneurship, by all means, go ahead and click on one of the links, message her, friend her. She's just
Thank
amazing.
you.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
thanks again. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.